So I was watching a video last week and I fell asleep. Holy crap, I'm boring. So I'm trying to pick it up a little bit. We put some seats in, so we got some primer on and painted the seats. Put some hook and loop, which is the Velcro, for the back pad, which will sit right there. It's pretty obvious. But I got to paint. If you notice, I'm going to do some touch up on the glue around there, but that will sit on there, and that's what it'll look like. So we cleaned up the, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned it last week. Sorry, a little jerky. Cleaned up the hardware with some Scotch-Brite, the fine Scotch-Brite. No, not Scotch-Brite. It was the steel wool, which is right over here. That right there. So real fine steel wool. So we cleaned up that. It's zinc, actually. I know I'm jumping around here, so bear with me. It's the zinc on there, and that's pretty dirty. So that's a good close-up of what it is. Take the steel wool to it, and it'll clean up fairly well to that right there. The other trick was the phosphoric acid. So I have a seat adjustment here on the other seat. Actually, that one has one too. There's a quadrant for the seat belt adjustment. If you're too big, you can, it's on the spool underneath it, which is right there. And it'll release and let the cable come out and release, and let the shoulder harness come out and cover the big boys and girls. So anyway, that handle, this handle, is for seat adjustment, to have the seat go up and down, which raises and lowers you so you can see out over the panel. So that is for vertically challenged people or too tall people. Anyway, that's that. Working with that right now. This seat right here, got to cover up. Just touch up around these edges with a Q-tip and some paint, and then the hook and loop on the bottom right there. This one has it. It actually has a pad that needs to go underneath it right here. So here's the other seat. Got all the hardware off of it. It's disassembled. Starting to clean it up. Got to clean up the seat frame. And be done with that. I'll get right back to this in a minute, which is one of the things I wanted to point out this week. Was here's a data box that's going to mount on the back of the front one, which is kind of like a glove box for the rear cockpit. I don't know, maybe we'll get to it next week and show you more detail. There's the hardware that's cleaned up. So what I was going to talk about today, just getting along with the project. Hung the frame up in the ceiling. So that got up there. Oops, sorry about that. Covered up where the actual angle's at. Ooh, I'm shaky. Right there at that joist is 3 2x6s. Dropped a couple holes in it, wrapped the chain around the top of it, brought it through, got a chain link. That's actually like for rock climbing and stuff. Hooked the chain together and put it up there. So did that by myself. Actually stood it up on one end. That thing's 16 feet long, the ceiling's 15. So got a 12-foot ladder and got it up there close enough and propped it up against it. Hooked the, not hooked, but put the tail section up first on an angle, and then just worked that one up with it, come along and got it up and hung it up. So task completed. Back to, which I mentioned last week, was phosphoric acid, which you can buy at the box stores right there. It's for cleaning, rust, and surface for painting. So what I did, this had surface rust on the seat height adjustment lever, which is actually right there too. Also, I just brushed it on. You can see some right there, but all I did was just brush it on with a multi-purpose toothbrush, which is just for this now. Not using it anymore. And took Scotch-Brite, an old wore out Scotch-Brite, right here, and just rubbed it. So it cleans it up pretty good. I'll do some more, but I wanted to point that out one more time. That stuff right there is for surface rust. That's the way to go. It doesn't hurt the paint. So if I flip this lever over, the backside's already painted. That's just grease and dirt right there. But you can see the paint on it right there. It doesn't hurt it at all. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff right there. And I am a lot jerky. Yeah, that's what's going on. Cleaned up the seat. The other seat, got to clean this one up. I'm just detailing it. Get it ready to go in. I do have an issue with it. This is an 1 1/8" seat rail. Right there, that tubing right there, it's a 2-piece clamp, which is right here. So that should go on there. But if you notice, it does not fit well. And the reason why is somebody has replaced this tube, and it is an 1 1/4". Sorry, it's an 1/8 inch too big. So that notch won't work. This is a cast piece of aluminum. That's horrible. So this piece goes on the bottom. This sits up top and receives the seat rail. And that little hole right there, which should be an 1 1/8" tube, is an 1 1/4" on the existing frame. So what I got to do is get some chrome moly 4130. That's a 1 inch top, and I'm gonna have to modify it and make a 1 1/4" bottom. Take a 45 out of it when I weld them together, when they're coated together, and then weld these. Don't want to call them lugs, but receivers for the bolts, which would just be another piece of tubing on it, and cut it in half and make my own bracket, and then put a gusset on it for right there. So maybe I'll get to that. Instead of cutting the tube there and doing a rosette weld and making it 1 1/4", because this frame is done, I don't really want to screw with it all that much. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Clean this seat up right here that I'm currently on, and clean that up and get it ready for paint. Primer and self-etching primer. Oh yeah, I gotta wash this seat too. Get the rust off of it. But this is aluminum, so all I gotta do is just make sure that the paint that's on it's gonna still stick to it. So wash it off, clean it up, primer the stuff that's not cleaned up, and then get the flat black back on it and put it back together and get it ready to go back into the frame. Oh, there's the seat rails. Partially done. I didn't paint them fully because I had to suspend them. They had nowhere to hang them, so that's the best I can do with that. And the springs are right there. That'll go on them in the hardware that we looked at earlier, which is for the seat adjustment. So it's the return spring, and I'll show you where that's at. It goes on the back right there, right here. So hooks in there with a loop around the frame, hooks down to the seat bottom. Well, let me get in there and see if I can get a better shot. Hooks down on the frame down here, actually on the seat, and then goes up to the frame, and then that aids the seat in the retraction of it, or go as high as it goes, and then it'll sink back down. So that's this return spring. There's part of the adjustment that I was telling you about, the quadrant, what they call it, for the seat quadrant, and the handle is on the other side of the seat for the height adjustment. So that's it. Cut this thing off before I run out of 10 minutes and not just have to cut it off short. So hopefully anybody who's viewing this one won't fall asleep. Sorry about that. And dude, hopefully I'll still be making it next week and have some more stuff to cover. So see ya.